Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I thought we could talk about some of the purchases and products that I got in Ulta's last 21 Days of Beauty. If you're not familiar with 21 Days of Beauty, for 21 days, I think it's like twice a year, Ulta picks random favorite products or new products and marks them at 50% off. So some popular items that you see are like Tarte's Shape Tape or like Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow products. They change it up every year. There's a couple things that I've noticed, or every 6 months. There's a couple things that I've noticed kind of pop up again. I'm so bummed that I missed the Clarisonic brush heads for the Mia Smart or whatever. You can pop them in. They're usually 50% off. It's kind of difficult to shop sometimes because unless you're kind of like a diamond or platinum member on Ulta's point system, you either have to go to the store in person or I think pay for shipping. I'm not quite sure how they work that out. I'm unfortunately diamond on Ulta, so I spend too much money. So I get free shipping, which is kind of frustrating because I feel like I'm wasting a lot of packaging. I've submitted a comment to them to see like maybe if you could like hold them all to the end and ship them, but I don't quite know if they're going to listen to me. Anyway, the first product that I picked up in the 21 Days of Beauty are the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz pencils. You've more than likely seen these somewhere on the internet. They have a spoolie on one end and a brow product on the other. The one that they had during the last 21 Days of Beauty was actually their brow definer. So I'm going to show you the difference here. As you can see, the one on the right is a very small point, like a very precise pencil, and the one on the left is much more of a chisel tip. You can kind of get an idea on how they are shaped. I originally picked up the Brow Wiz because that's a very popular product. A lot of people on the internet, YouTube, whatever, talk about it. It's a very like staple, go-to, very popular brow product. You can get dupes for the drugstore version. I've tried the NYX brow pencils. I like them. I do think that there is a little bit to say about the high-end quality. I've noticed it's just like a touch different. On the day-to-day, I'd have no problem using the NYX pencil, but for special occasions, I'd probably reach for the ABH one just to kind of guarantee things will work. Between the Brow Wiz and the Brow Definer, I think that both are fine. I like the Brow Definer better for quicker eyebrows. When I'm in work, going to work, or I'm in a hurry, I just kind of like to like, and just get something on there. As you can see from the fine point, the Brow Wiz is a little bit more precise, so if you're newer, that might be easier to get finer lines, whereas the Brow Definer just kind of like gets in and get her done. I was by no means out of those pencils, but I picked up my two shades, soft brown and chocolate, just to kind of have as backup because between Sephora and Ulta, the most you'll save on them is 15 or 20%, and that's, you can't beat 50. The next thing I picked up was actually new to me. I'd always wanted to try a couple different powders. My skin has gone from oily to combination, which is like a little bit of dry with some oils peeking through. Like I have dryness underneath, but I have a little bit of oils on top. So I wanted to try the Bare Minerals powder. My normal favorite powders are the Nikea Joy Cosmetics Velvet Finishing Powder. That still works amazing on my skin. And then prior to that, I would use the La Mercier powder. But since this one was 50% off, I wanted to give it a try. Had a lot of good reviews. I've tried it twice, and I don't think I love it. I am going to try it with one or two more foundations. I've tried it with two different foundations so far. The first one was expired, so that was completely my bad. And the second one, I just haven't worn in a while, so I don't remember how it wears. So I want to make sure that I'm trying it and that it works really well. So editing Susie may pop in, or I'll leave some text right here about what I think about it. Hi, future Susie here. So I went ahead and used the Bare Minerals translucent powder with two other foundations. On the left side of my face, I'm wearing the Makeup Revolution stick foundation, and this is the right side of my face. That was the left side. The right side of my face, I'm wearing the Estee Lauder Double Wear. The Double Wear is, both of these products are like recently purchased, so I can't fault anything to their age or anything like that, which is something I was concerned about with my last foundations. And the Estee Lauder Double Wear is like my tried and true like foundation. Like I don't care where I'm going. If I'm concerned, I'm wearing that foundation. It looks amazing. And then obviously my eyes are a little different. I was playing around with the Jeffree Star Mini Breaker palette. I picked it up a while ago when it was on sale from Morphe and I just never got a chance to play around with it, so I was doing that tonight. So I set my whole face with a powder like I normally do with every other powder. And the one thing I always do, and I did tonight, was I put extra powder at the center of my forehead here just to help with some of the creasing I develop while I'm doing my eye makeup, because I'll like raise my eyebrows a little bit and it makes those three creases a little bit bigger, and sometimes my foundation and concealer can settle in. So I noticed when I did that it really took away some of the product that was there. All right, now that that's said and done, I'll let you get back to the rest of the video. The next thing I picked up is pretty tried and true. It is the Tarte Shape Tape. So typically I apply that to the under eyes, the chin, and the center of the forehead, just kind of add some brightness back to the face. I typically used to use shade 16N, which is their Fair Light Neutral, and I never loved it. It was always way too white. I didn't care for how it went on. I almost kind of like didn't like Shape Tape anymore. Until I tried the shade 20B, which is what I'm wearing today, which is much more cool. I've noticed my skin's been pooling, or products have been matching that are cooler than neutral. Sometimes they have too much gold in them. So I have kind of been liking this again. As I mentioned, it's kind of a cult favorite. It's only sold at Ulta, so I usually pick one up even if I'm not using Shape Tape that much, just because I can't help and let it pass by. So you can compare other concealers to this because it's one of the most renowned, like, for coverage. I get a little bit of fine line creasing, a little bit. I've noticed that most concealers do that, so it's kind of a matter of preference. But I do like having this on hand when I'm trying out a new concealer to figure out, like, would Shape Tape do it this way? The next thing I picked up was another restock item. I often use the Urban Decay Primer Potion. It was the first eyeshadow primer I ever had, so every time it's on sale every 6 months, I usually pick one up. It's very tried and true. It does not do very much for covering up veins or any discoloration you might have on your eyelids, but it does a pretty good job of priming your eyes if you're not wearing a full face of foundation. So it's kind of transparent, or translucent, I guess you could say. So if you're not wearing foundation and you put like a concealer on your eyes, it's kind of going to be noticeable where like your skin matches perfectly and then doesn't anymore. So I do like having this on hand to use if I don't want to kind of have that fully covered effect when I'm going in for more of a casual eyeshadow. In addition to that, MAC Cosmetics is now available at Ulta. I think it's kind of newish. They've been on there. But I picked up 3 of their lip liners. I've always been hearing tons and tons of things about MAC lip liners. I'm not a huge user of lip liners. I usually wear liquid lipstick and I find that I can get a crisp enough line. But I've noticed that for bullet lipsticks, so quickly to contrast those, this is a bullet lipstick, like traditional lipstick. And then these are the liquid lipsticks. This is one from Jeffree Star. They dry down matte most of the time and don't transfer as much as traditional bullet lipsticks. So when you're using this tube, it's harder to kind of get that really sharp line on your lips. And I've been wearing the Ruby Woo one. So I have the lipstick and then I have the lip liner. So I've been using that combination and I really like it because it's very difficult to get reds to work out well. If you overdo the line or mess it up at all, it's very hard to get that red off and covered. Controlling and covering redness is a big part of makeup. So if you can imagine this bright red kind of look over here, it'd be really hard to get off. So having the lip liner has helped for there. They are super, super creamy. That's the one thing I really noticed about them. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the shade Cork. I thought that was a tad lighter when I ordered it online. Typically I would go into a store and swatch things, but I couldn't do that this time, so I took a guess and ordered them online. But I do have a lot of reddish brown lipsticks, so I'm sure I'll find a use for it. That's one thing I do like about lip liners is they don't have to match 100%. They can match kind of close enough and you can kind of end up covering it up with whatever lipstick shade you're going in with. Sometimes you do want that to match well, but nothing in makeup is a particularly hard and fast rule, so you can go ahead and do whatever you want. The next thing I picked up I was actually really excited about. I've only recently in the last less than a year kind of got into doing brows. So I was able to pick up the Benefit Gimme Brow Volumizing Fiber Gel. I picked it up in the shade 3. So it's a little tiny thing like this that has a wand, very tiny, like a mascara wand, but itty bitty bitty bitty. So I went ahead and filled in my brows with a pencil, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, and then I went over that with the gel. I noticed it does feel a bit crunchy at first. So I'm not super sure if that is normal. This is the first brow gel product that's tinted that I've used, but that feeling kind of goes away after it's dried and settled down. Unrelated to makeup, but I did also pick up this one face mask from The Ordinary. I've been having conversations with one of my friends about skincare. She knows a lot more about it than I do. But this is their salicylic acid 2% mask. I think it was only a couple dollars. I don't even think it was in the 21 Days of Beauty sale. I just happened to buy it with that order. I've been having some kind of acne breakout issues, and using a salicylic acid is supposed to help with that, but I was concerned with drying out my skin with a cleanser, so I went for a mask. But if you haven't heard of The Ordinary, it's a really cool skincare line that's very low budget. Like, I'm talking like $6, $7, or $10 for a serum that Sephora would cost God knows how much. Okay, so I have saved the best for last. The thing that I was most excited about in this 21 Days of Beauty were the new Cover FX bars of soap. I'm just being a jerk. They're not soaps. They're duos. So they have bronzers and highlighters. You have a shimmer and you have a matte in there, which is kind of cool. I have swatched all of them, so I'll insert that and you can look at them. I purchased the shade Sun-Kissed Bronze. I also purchased Suntan Bronze because I was convinced that was the color I was until I got it and I realized, wow, this is way too deep for me. So I'm going to hang on to that and return it to Ulta without touching it. That way it can be resold. But for the blushes, I went ahead and picked up Pink Dahlia, Mojave Mauve, and Soft Peach. I probably did not need 3, but at a certain point, the colors just started all looking so pretty. I did notice with the bronzer that this might be a tad dark for me, but I'm not super concerned about that because you can kind of sheer it down. It does apply much heavier than like the Too Faced bronzer or the Butter Bronze that I have been using. I definitely recommend going in with a lighter hand or a fluffier bronzer brush. Like, don't use one that's particularly dense because you kind of just get a lot of product on it. I used it the other day with the denser brush and it was way too dark, but I used it today with a slightly fluffier brush and it worked a bit better. I applied first the regular shade, the matte shade on my right side, and then I applied the shimmery shade on my left. I didn't see anything too crazy. I do think that if you're going to use the shimmer and the matte shade, that you should go in with a light layer of the matte and then add the shimmer on top. That did add a very pretty glow, but on its own, I do not think that the bronzer shade is dark enough, or it's too shifty or metallic. It just doesn't quite look like bronzer, but together they look really, really, really pretty. Does this mean you're going to go through the matte shade and have tons of the bronzy one left? Probably, but who actually finishes an entire bronzer? I don't think anyone does. Next, I went in with some blush. I chose the shade Pink Dahlia. Looking back, I maybe should have gone with a Soft Peach, just kind of match this bronzy vibe, but I'd already tried Mojave Mauve and it was very deep and pink and I wanted to try a different one. So I went ahead and put the matte shade on my right cheek and the shimmery shade on my left. You can see a bit more of the pigment in the shimmery blush than you could the shimmery bronzer. But again, I do kind of like the combination of them better than I do them on their own. The matte you can wear on your own actually, but the shimmer just doesn't seem pigmented enough. Or again, it has some kind of like shimmer or reflect to it where I don't think it looks blushy. But I've also have not seen the light of day in a long time because I'm stuck inside, so who knows. I did, however, opt not to wear a highlighter today because I think that with the shimmery shade layered higher up on your cheek, it does give a very pretty sheen and shimmer, whereas if you went with a highlighter on top, it might kind of take away or just be too glowy for what you're looking for that day. I would probably go either way depending on what I wanted to do, but I think you could easily, if you're in a hurry, skip a highlighter shade by going in with a shimmery blush on the higher points of your cheek here and keeping the color kind of lower down. So with all those products used, I did use foundation. That wasn't part of it because I didn't buy a foundation. But for my, I'm going to zoom you in for a quick second to get a better look at the product. So this side of my cheek on the left, you can definitely see more of the shimmer from the shimmery blush, whereas this side I went in heavier with the matte first. But I think you kind of layered together, don't notice too much of a difference. I do like the brow gel. I like how it kind of, instead of using the pencil, it kind of just like gives you more of a feathery look. I do like the lip liners a lot. I think this color Ruby Woo is very like pretty pop. And then the one thing I'm most excited about is that my eyeshadow is actually the bronzer. I used the matte shade in the crease and the shimmery shade on the lid. It's a really quick, easy, like, hey, I want to look more put together, or I want to kind of negate the white of some kind of primer. Just throw bronzer in your crease. It'll match what you have on your face and look super pretty. I've also been known to use blush on my lid with like a bronzer more on the outer corner. It's just a cool way to kind of pull together the colors that you're using on the rest of your face on your eyes. So yeah, this was the look that I put together with most of the products that I've used from Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty. I didn't quite get a full face out of it, but I got pretty darn close to it, especially because I picked up more Shape Tape Concealer and tried some new brow products. But yeah, so this is the look we created. Please ignore my quarantine ponytail. That's just what we're living with today. My headset at work flattens my hair, so we're just going to go ahead and blame my boss for that. So I'm pretty happy with all the things that I got in the 20 Days of Beauty sale. The only thing I will likely be returning is the bronzer in the shade that is way too deep. I'll probably swatch it in the store when I go back just to make sure I don't need it, but as long as I don't touch it, they can kind of resell it, which I'd feel better about than just swatching for the purpose of this video. I do really like the lip liners. I really like the brow product. The Shape Tape Concealer I kind of already knew I liked, but it just kind of made me realize how much more I enjoyed it now that I have a better shade. The Cover FX bronzer and blushes I'm still playing with. They are super pigmented and super buttery. So definitely go in light-handed. I have been going a little heavier handed on blushes. I'm trying new ones. And the Bare Minerals powder, my jury's still out on that one. Again, I will include more information as I try it again. Some people did comment the color changed their foundation. I did notice that it brought down the intensity of my foundation like a little tiny bit, like maybe like a quarter or like a half a shade, probably a quarter of a shade. Because the first foundation I tried it with was just too dark for me, and I put the powder on everywhere and I kind of brought it down a little bit. That's not particularly uncommon for powders, but it's definitely not an effect people typically desire. I have tried the Ordinary mask once. I'm a little bit concerned about doing it too often because it has 2% salicylic acid in it. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but I think it's how you pronounce that word. But I want to be careful so as not to dry out or aggravate my skin. So I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned about some new products, and I'll see you next time. Bye!